Hey, what up everybody? Leah Selly here from Graffiti Eyes Stencils, and today I've got a little quick video for you, a little tips video on how to keep your stencils clean on the job. So this is a thing where people will give me the excuse that they don't use stencils because they don't know how to keep them clean on the job. So there's lots of different ways of like wiping them down and stuff like that. One thing I tend to do is I get in the habit of wiping off my stencil after I finish painting the kid, and I show them in the mirror. And if you're doing paper face, and if they are paying you like after, like sometimes you're doing a paper face and they pay you before. This works if you're paying them after or whatever, or just like the time it takes to get the kid out of the chair and the next one in the chair, and you're kind of greeting the next person. I'll take my dirty stencil and I'll just start wiping it off with a baby wipe. And you show them in the mirror and you're like, hey, it looks great, right? Yeah, okay. And you're like, yay, mom and dad, okay, thanks. And if they're digging for money or something, or they're gonna take a picture, then I just start wiping my stencils off really quickly. So this particular stencil is really easy because if you're just wiping the edge of it, you can just pinch it with the baby wipe and wipe it off. Or like the stars, that area, for example, I would just like have my baby wipe and kind of just pinch it and clean it off like that. So that's what I kind of be talking to them. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. Yay, you like it? Okay, yay, hooray. Oh, thank you for the tip. Yay, thank you. That's so kind. And then your stencil's clean for the next kid, okay? So that's one way that I try and keep it moving. Another way is, okay, so I've been like doing one after another, and they're like a little bit older kids. So you've got like these kind of like, whatever, 8 years old or 10-year-old kids, and they're like really easy and fast to get in and out of the chair. So in that case, I'll end up having like a stack of stencils that are kind of dirty, like I'll be putting them back in the thing and they'll have like, been used a bunch of times, and I don't have as much time in between kids to clean them off. So what I'll do is I'll just have a clean paper towel down on my table, or I have paper towel today, but shop towels, if you go to the hardware store, you can get shop towels. Like usually they sell them like in the paint section, and they sell them in like the cleaning supplies section at the hardware store. And they're a little bit thicker than a paper towel, so they don't rip as easy, and they're not as, the fibers don't come off of it as easily, and they're usually blue color, like a light blue color. Anyway, shop towels work really well, but paper towels are great. And then what I'll do is I'll lay my stencil down on the towel, and I'll have my baby wipe, and I'll just wipe it off on the towel. If your stencil is really dirty, like on both sides of your stencil, then I could put a baby wipe down so it's a wet. So I'll put like a baby wipe down, and then it's kind of washing both sides at once then. So I got a wet one on the bottom, and I'm using a wet one on the top. And it kind of will get rid of a lot of it'll loosen up the paint on the underside then, so it's kind of easier to get it all off. Okay, so that's another way I do it. I just lay them flat on the table and brush them off like this. So on shapes, like you saw me do those shapes, I'm just like these kind of like non-threatening shapes, like little circles or whatever. I'm just pushing it down and dragging the stencil, or like, see this little pizza bit? You don't want to catch this. There's some black here. You don't want to catch this and bend it the wrong way because it'll ruin the stencil. So you're just going to make sure that you're dragging along with the stencil shape. All right. So this is a really fast way to do it, is just putting it on a dry paper towel and knocking off the shapes, and it's just damage control. I mean, it's not perfectly clean, but it's damage control. So now when you go to put it on their face again, there's not like a whole bunch of black or orange or whatever. So if I've got a lull in the party or whatever, and I'm kind of just, instead of just standing there and smiling and staring out at the crowd going, please somebody come to me, I'll keep busy and I'll start cleaning off my stencils, and then that way I'm kind of like ahead of the game for the end of the gig, and when I get home to wash them, okay? So there's that way. Now, so that's dealing with a paper towel and rubbing at it with a baby wipe. Now dealing with something like these kinds. When you've ended up using, whoops, that one's clean already. When you've ended up using a stencil 1,000,000 times and you've got glitter on it, so you've done like 62 purple ponies at this party, and every one of them you put paint on and glitter on and paint on and glitter on and paint on and glitter on. So it's like an inch thick of paint and glitter on your stencil. If you go to like wipe that off with a baby wipe, it's actually like you kind of have to scrub at it, and then you're risking catching the stencil and messing it up and stuff like that. So, or dun, 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 the snowflake shape, right? Everybody's afraid of washing their snowflakes because if you do what I did with the paper towel flat and then you're trying to wipe it with the baby wipe, and then it turns all into these little spider legs of like, my snowflake stencil's ruined, you know? So you gotta be really gentle with this. And even if you're gonna like do that little pinch it and rub it like this with the baby wipe, like you're still gonna catch it. So what I do is this is my water bucket. It's collapsible. I take my water bucket and put some water in there. What I do, well, that camera angle maybe isn't gonna work, but I take like a big paintbrush, okay? And I take my stencil and I stick it right into my water bucket and lean it against the side of my water bucket, and then I brush the edge of my stencil in my water bucket along the side. I don't know if you guys can you see in there? Where's light? So yeah, so I'm just, okay, there. So I'm just brushing it off with my paintbrush right inside my water bucket, and it's leaned against the side. And now I can just put it right on a paper towel and dry it off. And we've got a snowflake stencil whose life has been saved. Cleans it off really fast. You've already got paper towel at your station, and it saves it from messing up your little edges like that. So that's what I like to do for snowflake stencils on the job, keeping them clean, or when you got like tons of layers of glitter and paint on your stencil, because trying to rub that off with the baby wipe is just going to take forever. So if you can just dump that thing right in your water and get it damage controlled that way, it is way faster. Bum, bum, bum. Right? Let's see. Put it right inside there. And dry it off. Yay. Anyways, there you go. Damage control on the job, keeping your stencils clean. Then when I'm home, or like at the very end of the job, I'll just like, and I'm just going home, I'll just slam them all together in my little case, and I'll just throw them in the sink and use a magic eraser. Those white sponges, those magic eraser sponges, and they are super great for cleaning them off really fast. That with some like dish soap or whatever, that cleans them off really fast in the sink. And I will dry them in my little holder even. If it's a sunny day, just stick them outside in the sun and they'll dry up really fast, and you don't have to worry about like messing with a paper towel or anything like that. Yeah, if you leave them just like sitting there in a stack and they're all stuck together wet, they'll stay stuck together wet and they'll take longer to dry. So I just try and like separate them out. Anyways, that's how I keep my stencils clean on the job. And a lot of times, most of the time I have a paper towel down and I'm just knocking with a baby wipe the worst of it off. Like if I have to flip it over really fast. Sometimes I don't even need to use a baby wipe. Like if I've just transferred something and I need to do the same thing on the other side and I want it symmetrical, so I'm going to be like flipping it over. I got this henna on. That's what all this is. If I'm going to flip it over on the other side so that it's symmetrical, what I'll do is when I'm already done this side, it's still really wet. So I can just like take it right away and wipe it off on a dry paper towel and just wipe the wet paint right off and it'll come right off. So that's like the absolute fastest way, because then you don't even have to mess with a baby wipe. And then you can just flip it over and do it right away. So it's when the paint dries on there that you got to actually like get it wet again to get it clean. So I hope that helps. And yeah, this is just a quick little video to show you how to keep your stencils clean while you're working so that you can keep moving fast, because that's the whole game of actually being like effective with your stencils, is not only having the confidence to like get good transfers, but all these other little things about how to like be comfortable with using them on a regular basis on the job, right? So yeah, there we go. That is how to keep your stencils clean. If you got tips on how to keep your stencils clean on the job, if there's things that you do that I didn't mention in here and that you'd like to share with everybody and you'd like to share with me, because I like to learn from everybody too, and it's fun to just share content like that, post it up, let me know, put it in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you. So otherwise, yeah, join me on my Instagram, that is @graffitieyes, and my YouTube channel is the Tattooed Lady CA. The CA is for Canada, because that's where my accent is from, although I don't think I have an accent. And Facebook, I got a group called Graffiti Eyes Nation, and there's all kinds of like class announcements and people posting up from all over the world, and questions and answers and fun stuff happening in there. So those are kind of places to hang out and find me online. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.